Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for the third episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers second season, Game On. I think this was my least favorite episode of the season so far. We're only 3 episodes in, but it was a pretty by-the-numbers filler episode, and I couldn't help but thinking about some comments I've seen both from the last couple of reviews and like around Twitter and stuff about people saying that they're worried based off of where this season is going so far, though we're early in, that it's kind of following the curse of the second seasons where they seem to prioritize filler. And I feel like it's a little too early to say, and I don't think the first 2 episodes were really that bad at it. Although I will say that it did kind of follow the pattern of the second seasons, not having the same feeling of momentum of the early first seasons, where I guess it's because maybe they're setting more stuff up at the beginning of the first season, but most of the second seasons are like, okay, here's the first episode, here's all the stuff, now let's do dumb filler about teaching kids lessons. So, I don't know, we'll see how it progresses. I think in some areas it is a little bit better than like Super Steel with keeping some of the Ranger stuff going, but this was definitely an episode that had me worried about it because it was more so about the filler plot than anything else, and it was a very on-the-nose message. And you know, I get it, you want to teach kids messages and stuff, but I've said it before, but I think they need to be a little bit more subtle about it or find more creative ways about it. And I mainly say that because when I was little, you know how like in TV shows nowadays, like normal ones, you have people complaining it's too political because something will be too on the nose? I feel like the kids show messages where it's like on the nose is the kids show version of that. And when I was little, that would annoy me. Like when a kids show was trying to tell me to do something so obviously, it made me really not want to do it. They'd be like, oh, make sure you eat your vegetables. I'm like, to hell with you, I'm not gonna eat the vegetables. Now my kid trauma is just coming out. It's not something that's just annoying me now as an adult fan watching. It's something that annoyed me when I was little too. So that's kind of just where my annoyance at these episodes comes from. But it had some decent parts. I mean, so the premise was a video game tournament where they somehow have this crazy next generation Yu-Gi-Oh technology where they have like basically where the monsters can touch things, but it's a fighting game. And Devin's fighting the tournament at the beginning, and his character like freezes up and he's about to lose, but then Blaze and Roxy find that they could use this technology for the Monster of the Week, which uses it to create clone copies of the Rangers to fight more than a clone, less than a man, the Rangers. So that's like the core premise, and the reason that they find out about it is because Mayor Daniels is there, and it seems like he hears about it and goes to make a phone call, but that's not exactly how it works, which I'll get into in a minute. But that's like the core premise of the episode, and then like his opponent winds up playing a role in the story. And it was weirdly paced, I feel, because when everyone's running out of Riptide when the monster attacks, she's watching them fight the clones. She recognizes that it's the technology from the game, and it seems like, you know, the wheels are turning in her head that she's gonna help them. Like, oh, I'm like, okay, she knows this, she's gonna try to contact the Rangers. Like, that's the feeling you get from watching that scene. And then all of a sudden, the next scene is Devin showing up back at the contest hall and giving her his controller because hers is broken and lost or whatever. And then after that, she shows up to help him, and it made it almost seem like Devin's acts of kindness inspired her to move forward. It just, I don't know, something about the momentum of that felt disjointed, because I didn't get the vibe she was a bad person that was going to keep that information to herself. And again, the way they highlighted she recognized what was going on, I thought she was going to immediately go try to contact them. But then they had that weird scene in the middle where Devin gave her the controller. But when she's giving them the information on how to beat them because she found a glitch in the game where if you do this certain combo it causes them to freeze, that's when they go to the message of the week, which is, oh, you shouldn't cheat. I'm like, is that really cheating? I mean, it's like a bug within the game. Like, I honestly thought she was hacking the game at the beginning of the episode, where she was like using some sort of hack to glitch him, but it's like a bug within the game. I'm like, is it really cheating? And then Devin's like, well, you know, if you cheat, you don't really win at all. And I'm like, well, counterpoint from the great Tom Haverford, take the easy way out. I always do. It's so easy. And they have like an extra layer on it that she needs to win the contest for her little brother that's on crutches. I'm like, is he really on crutches though? Like, are you sure you're not just faking it? Like, come on, son. Basically, they figure out then how to beat him, and then they defeat him at the end, and then they have the rematch of the tournament, and this time Devin wins, and, you know, obviously, even though he won, he gives her the prize money for her little brother who has an injury. I'm so sure. He didn't seem that injured to me. It was funny because, like, during the scene, I couldn't help but think of, like, I knew Devin was gonna win and give her the money from the get-go, or he was gonna let her win, or something was gonna happen to that effect. But still, like, when Devin was gaining the upper hand, you see, like, worried looks from the opponent and her little brother, and even the little brother, little scumbags, like, oh, use the cheat code. I shouldn't say that. I'm, like, contradicting myself. I support her using the bug. I don't think it was a big deal. Because, like, they have these worried looks as Devin's winning. I couldn't help but think of that Chappelle Show sketch where he's like, I'm too real for you! I'm too real for you! Like, where he was just winning. I don't know. That's what I kept thinking of, and that's what was getting me through it. That was way funnier, but he ended up giving that to her, and, you know, yay, no cheating, but maybe sometimes, you know, who knows. Anyway, the only other thing I wanted to talk about was Ben and Betty. I haven't really mentioned them very much this season so far in the reviews, and I feel like I'm not a fan of the way they're being used this season. I'm one of those people that doesn't dislike Ben and Betty. I definitely think they have aspects of that humor that I dislike, and that clear, what I like to call bulk and skull signaling, where they're like, whoa, I fell over, and then the music's like, burr, 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 burr. Remember, it sounds like bulk and skull's music, so laugh and like them, because the music's the same, guys. They definitely still have that, but I've found them still to overall be a little bit more endearing. I think that in the first season, they incorporated them better into the show, where they actually had, like, genuine good moments with the cast, genuine moments of usefulness. But this season, I feel like, have they even been in Grid Battle Force at all? Like, outside of, like, the endings of the episodes? I feel like most of their comedy bits have been outside. Like, I think it was at the beach last week or the week before, and this week it was this weird subplot about them bringing up this AR dance character that Betty fell in love with. And I think I prefer them being at Grid Battle Force doing random jobs than here. It feels even more shoehorned in, like they're just there for a comedy bit. And again, they had this problem in the first season, but I felt it here too. But their, like, subplot felt out of sync with the rest of the episode in terms of the pacing of the way the episode was edited. It's like you're watching the plot of the episode and all of a sudden they're like, wait, here's a random detour. And I don't know. Again, I don't think they're perfect. I still think they still have those shades of the annoying humor style. But I think they have had enough better moments that I'm disappointed that they're kind of in that role where they feel sidelined and they don't feel as integrated with the show as they did last season so far. Again, it's early days. I feel like everyone's comments about, oh, this is the super season curse, is getting into my head, and this episode definitely felt like a super season episode. I certainly hope we get a little bit more momentum going forward, but I wasn't a huge fan of this episode. It wasn't awful, there were some okay moments, but I would probably overall give it a 6. We did have the bit at the end with Mayor Daniels. Apparently the catalyst for him changing is a cough. So guys, the coronavirus isn't even real. Everyone's just Evox. It's fine. But that's kind of what it's like, because we weren't exactly sure how it worked. Was it like, is he just copying his body? So it basically is a possession. And like, kind of like Mesogog in a way. It's different because like, Mesogog was basically, when you think about it, a DID personality of Anton Mercer come to life, but that's for a whole other time. But basically, he's inside Mayor Daniels' body, and when he starts coughing, he comes out. It actually kind of reminds me a bit more, in a way, of like the way Trent worked in the early White Ranger arc, where he would be like, oh, and then he'd go transform. So that's the way that works. So it's not like Mayor Daniels' real body is off trapped somewhere. So he is just kind of possessed in him. Because the beginning of the episode made it seem like Mayor Daniels was like, oh, this idea, I gotta make a phone call now. And it was more like Evox is listening from the inside and manifested. So I thought it would have been more interesting if either he was taking the form of Mayor Daniels or he had control of Mayor Daniels, so you get to see Mayor Daniels making more nefarious moves. But whatever. What did you guys think of the episode? Were you as bothered by the filler content as I was? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.